Hello, friends, and happy day to you. Hope everybody's doing all right out there. I meant to get this done a couple of days ago, and I apologize for that. Had a little too much fun on the days. Had about 3, 4 students that I had to get enrolled when I was planning on making this video. So my apologies. I'm going to split this up into a couple of different parts. I want to focus on section 6 first with the matrices. And I do this part with pencil and paper. This video is to cover the homework, chapter 2, section 6. And we've got 3 problems to work through. So let's go ahead and get started. I guess I'll share my screen right quick. And we'll start with screen 4. We've got some assignments already coming in, but so we'll take a look at those together and kind of have a brief discussion over them. But these are the problems that we're going to do. Section 2.6, it's 3, 4, and 5. So I've got the book open here. And so this is, as you can see, section 2.6, and here are the problems. So 3 is we're going to find AB, so we're going to multiply these two together. 4, we're going to find AB, where they're slightly more complicated. And 5, we're going to find this one. Now, 5 is going to take a while, but it's going to be a little bit of fun. So we're going to have some different ways that we're going to work through that, and it'll be okay. So let's start out on 3. And like I said, the way that I like to do these is I like to do them with just pencil and paper. So what we're going to do, let's see if we can make this work today. All right, so this is my handy dandy desk camera, and then we'll just get started on this. Whoops, need to bring up one thing from my reference. So the first thing that I do on these, you have to understand that it's always been, I don't get to do these a whole lot. So we've got 2, 1, 3, 2, and this is A, and then we've got B, which is going to be 0, 4, 1, 3. Okay, so one of the things to understand is that you take this row times this row to get this one, and then you're going to take, again, the top row, but then by the second row to get this number. And hopefully the color coding on the video shows up. Now we're going to take this one on the bottom and the first row to get this one. And then finally, let's try a green marker. You're going to take the bottom row times the far column to get this last position here. And so let's give this a shot right quick. So let's just kind of work through this. So 2 times 0 is going to be 0 plus 1 times, so this row times this column. So 1 times 1 is going to be 1. And then it's going to be 2 times 4 is going to be 8, plus 1 times 3 is going to be 3. And then on the bottom, we're going to have 3 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 2 times 1 is going to be 2. And then over here, it's going to be 3 times 4 is going to be 12, plus 2 times 3 is going to be 6. And it's been a while, and I might have made math mistakes, but let's simplify this just a little bit. I'll just kind of go down here. So 0 plus 1 is going to be 1. 0 plus 2 is going to be 2. 8 plus 3 is going to be 11. 12 plus 6 is going to be 18. And so this is problem 3A. Okay, so 3A, this is what I got. What I'm going to do is let's go ahead and share our screen. And I'll share screen 4. Now, is it home? Yeah, it's home. We've got our syllabus here. And then I've got this handy dandy little thing, shared folders. And we get into, nope. Oh, wow, I've got it all broken out. Link to questions. and it redirects us here. And we can see we've got a copy of the book. Answers to odd numbered questions. So this is an odd question, so it's number 3. And let's see, can I make this bigger? I still don't feel like that's much easier to read. Now I've got to go hunting for section 2.6. It'll be obvious because you'll start seeing matrices. Oh, 2, 3, getting close. I went too fast. I've exceeded the limits. Okay, there's 2, 6, there's 3. It's got 1, 2, 11, 18. Yay! So it worked. Okay, well that was fun. So we'll draw a line through that. Now, for those of you that haven't done this before, that's completely okay. And this is called linear algebra. And to help you with the book, let me go ahead and I'll just share my screen right quick. This time I'll share a slightly different screen. Okay, so they actually talk about this here in the book. And it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense when they talk about it. It doesn't always make a lot of sense, I should say. Identity matrix, transpose, all good stuff to know if you're going to work in linear algebra. There's a fun little class called linear algebra. It's a 3000 level class, and it goes into the entire, and this is the fun stuff about this. Okay, so find AB if it is defined. So here they have this, here's an example, here's how they talk about this. And so when you put all these together, hopefully this makes a little bit of sense. Basically, the concept is there are rules that apply to linear algebra, and those rules have meaning. And so what you can see here is we're going to have A times B. So to get this first number, 14, let's see if we can find that right quick. It's going to be 1 times 2, so that's going to be 2, plus 0 times 1, that's going to be 0, plus 3 times 4. So 3 times 4 is going to be 12. 12 plus 2 is 14, and that's how we get the 14 there. Now, notice how there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and our output has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, because we can go 1, 2, 3, 4 rows deep. Now, as far as our width goes, we've got 1, 2 columns, and notice how our output also has 1, 2 columns. Okay, well, enough talky-talky. Let's get back down here. Let's look at 3B right quick, and let's work through this right quick. Hopefully, he says right quick. All right. So 3B, let's take a look-see. 3B, oh, y'all can't see that, so I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. That way I can see as well. Lean this out just a little bit. There we go. Hopefully I can make this work. So 3B is going to be 102. And then it's going to be -113. And that's our A. And now for our B, we're going to have 3, -2, -1, 1, 0, 2. So now we can start to multiply these across. So it's going to be 1 times 3, which is going to be 3. -1 times 1 is going to be -1. So that's the top one. The second one in is going to be -2 plus 0. And then the third one is going to be -1 minus 2. And see, we've got 3 columns, so we'll have 3 numbers across. Now we're going to have 3 rows. Because this is a 3 by 2, and this is a 2 by 3, our output is going to be in the form of a 3 by 3. Okay, continuing on. So, this is going to be at the top of our matrix here. Okay, so now we're going to do 0. And whenever that's a 0, that actually just made our lives stupid easier. And I appreciate them putting that 0 in so much. Because now I can basically say, I'm going to ignore this whole top row. I'm just going to add the bottom row. So it's going to be 1, 0, 2. Yay, life was easy. All right, now back to normal. So 2 times the top row, 3 times the bottom. So 2 times 3 is going to be 6 plus 3 times 1 is going to be 3. Now we do bottom row, second column. So it's going to be 2 times -2, which is going to be -4 plus 0. We got that 0 right there. And now it's going to be -2 plus 6. Okay, so let's simplify this a little bit. 3 and -1 is going to be 2, -2, -3, 1, 0, 2, 9, -4, 4. Okay, so let's see if we can, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And this time I'll share screen 4. And we'll look for 2.63b. So 2, -2, -3, good. 102, home run. 9, -4, 4. Yay! So this does check out. All right, moving on. I really like that green pen. I've done green, I've done purple. Now let's do orange. I'm excited. This is going to be fun. So now we're going to do 3C. And hopefully you're following along. If not, let's just talk. The part A is a 4 rows and 2 columns. We're multiplying that by a 2 rows, 4 columns. So our output is going to be a 4 by 4. That's going to be our dimensions. Okay, so let's start marking this out. 4, 3, 0, -1. And it's going to be -3, -1, -2. This is why I have to go slow. -1, -2. Just because this is going to cause me problems, I'm going to make a real small note that this is -1. And I still did a horrible job. I think it's time for me to just admit I have poor penmanship. Okay, -1 and -2, and then 5 down on the bottom. And then this is going to be -1, 3, 2, -2. -1, 3, 2, -2. And then our bottom row, 0, -1, 4, -3. Okay, so this is kind of what we're doing. It's very similar to the last time, maybe a slightly bigger problem. Okay, so man, I can't help it. I just start feeling lazy and more confused. So I'm gonna do -4 plus, and then I'm gonna do 12 plus, I'm gonna do 8 plus, and then I'm gonna do -8 plus. And now I'm gonna do -3 plus, and I'm just taking the first number, multiplying it by the first number. So it's going to be 9 plus, then it's going to be 6 plus, and then it's going to be -6 plus. And now it's going to be 0, 0, 0, 0. Now it's going to be -1, so it'll be -1 times -1 will be +1 plus, and now it'll be -3 plus, it'll be -2 plus, and it'll be 2 plus. Okay, so that's the first half of it. And now what we need to do is we need to come back and do these second numbers. So the second number is going to be multiplied by this bottom row here. So -3 is going to be multiplied by 0, and this will be 0. Negative 3 times negative 1 is just 3. Negative 12 and positive 9. And now we'll do this negative 1. So 0. And as it turns out, this is always going to be 0 for these last two. So I know that's going to be zeros there. Okay, negative 1 times negative 1 is going to be positive 1. Negative 1 times 4 is going to be 4. Should be negative 4, my friend. And then this will be 3. And now we'll do the negative 2. So that's already a 0. It's negative 2, so that'll be positive 2. Negative 8. And positive 6. And now 5, so 0. Negative 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 3 is negative 15. Okay, and now we'll simplify this a little bit. So we get negative 4, negative 3, 0, 1. Okay. Second column is going to be 15, 10, 2, negative 8. Third column is going to be negative 4, 2, negative 8, 18. And then it's going to be 1, negative 3, 6, negative 13. Now, math errors do happen. I was moving rather quickly for myself. I quite possibly made mistakes. Let's go find out. So I'll share screen 4 with you again. And now we can look at C. And so we can see negative 4, negative 3, 0, 1. That checks out. 15, negative 4, 1. That checks out. Now I'll do this inside 3 by 3. So 10, 2, negative 3. Yep, that checks out. 2, 8, negative 8, 18, 6, 13. Okay, so we can see that matched. That makes me happy. All right, now the assignment said we're supposed to do 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to save these, and I'll come back to those later. Now we're going to do problem number 4. Okay, so let's take a look. What is problem number 4? So I'll drag this down here. Oh, goody, more multiplication. So let's call this 4a. And I'm going to do 1, 0, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, 1, 0. Okay, so our first one is a 3 by 3. Our second one this time is a 3 by 3. So when you take a 3 by 3 and multiply it by a 3 by 3, you end up with a 3 by 3, and life is good. Okay, 0 and 1. Now, barring stupidity on my part, we should be able to get this going. Okay, so these three numbers times these three numbers. So 1 times the first number is going to be a 0 plus 0, because that one's a that number is a 0. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so that number is a 0 times that. I don't care. Now, whoops, going the wrong way. This row, this column. So 1 times 0 is still 0. 0 times 1 is still 0. 1 times a negative 1 is going to be negative 1. Okay, now moving sideways. 1 times 1 is going to be 1 plus 0, because that middle 0, plus 0. Yay! Now it's going to be negative 1 plus 0 plus 1. Okay, moving down one row. Now we do the first one. So it's always going to be 0 plus something, because that's 0 right there. Now it's negative 1 times the middle number. So this will be negative 1. This will be positive 1. And this will be 0. And now we do the third number. So -1 times -1 is going to be 1, 0 because of that guy, and -1. Okay, now we're doing the bottom row. So the first term is going to be 0 because of that term there. 1 times 1 is going to be 1 plus 0. And the third term is always going to be 0. That's going to be nice. Okay, -1 times 1 is -1. 1 times -1. So put a plus sign in there. Plus 0 because of that last term. Now it's -1 times -1, which is 1, plus 1 times 0, plus 0 times I don't care. Okay, now we can simplify this again. Now we can say, all right, -1, and this will be 0, and this will be 1, and then we'll have 1, 1, -2, then we'll have 0, -1, 1. Okay, but life can't be easy, so let's go ahead. What I mean by that is now I've got to go open up that other document. Okay, so we've got the shared student resources, but let's try to, excuse me. There we go. So in our syllabus, link to questions, discrete structures. Yeah, okay, so that is this one. I'll go back. Hopefully this looks familiar. Even answers. Okay, so that's the next document down. And I had to hover over it for it to say even answers. All right. Now, this button? Yeah, that's the right button. Okay, so we can see 2.6, and let's check. -1, 0, 1, 1, 1, -2, 0, -1, 1. Now, I will admit that I'm moving pretty fast on these. That's because basically what I want you to see is this is a fundamental way to multiply two things together. That's all this is. Okay, now we need to move on to 4B. So I'll put this up here. And we'll do 4B. All right, so should be able to, yes. Okay, now this one's going to be slightly different. You can see that the first one is still a 3x3, but the second one is now 3 rows by 4 columns. So that means our output is going to be a 3x4 as well. Okay, so let's get these written down. It's going to be 1, 1, 2, -3, 2, 1, 0, 2, -1. Yay! Okay, now let's do the next one. So it's 1, -1, -3. And it's going to be -1, 0, -2. And then 2, 3, 0. And 3, -1, 2. Okay, so it's going to be 3 numbers this way, 4 numbers this way. So let's get this party started. Okay, so the first one is going to be 1 times 1 is going to be 1. -3 times -1 is going to be 3 plus 0. And let's go our 4 across, so it'll be -1 plus 0 plus 0, so because that was 0. And now we'll do the third one, so it's going to be 2 minus 9, because -3 times 3, plus 0. And now our last one, so it's going to be 3 plus 3 plus 0. So now we've got, those are our 4 columns. Now let's get our next row started. It's going to be 1, 2, 2 times 1, -1, -3. So 1 times 1 is 1, plus 2 times negative 1 is going to be negative 2, plus 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Yay! Okay. And I'll get the third one right quick. So it's going to be the third row times the first column. So it's going to be 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 times negative 3, or 1 times negative 1 is going to be minus 1, and then plus 3. Okay, so now we've got these 9 that we're going to fill out here. All right, so let's do this one first. It's going to be our second row times our second column. So it's 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, 2 times 0, and 2 times negative 2 is minus 4. So plus 0 is 4. And I'll do this one just because I'm close. It's going to be 2 times negative 1, which is going to be negative 2, plus 1 times 0 is 0, plus negative 1, 2. I mumble to myself. Hopefully you're following me, and this is not making too much of a jumbled mess. Now we're going to do the second row times the third column. So 1 times 2 is going to be 2. 2 times 3 is going to be 6. And 2 times 0 is we don't care. Yay, so that's that number. While we're close here, let's do the last one. 1 times 3 is going to be 3, plus 2 times negative 1 is going to be negative 2. And then 2 times 2 is going to be 4. So the problem with these is it's really tedious. And it's really easy to make a mistake. So now we've got the last two here. So it's going to be 2 times 2 is going to be 4, plus 1 times 3 is going to be 3, plus negative 1 times we don't care is 0. Now we'll do the last one. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 times minus 1, plus minus 2. Okay. So that does line up, right? We've got 1, 2, 3 rows. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Now we just need to simplify this right quick. So I apologize. I should have done sooner. There's that. And now I'm just going to simplify it. So 1 plus 3 plus 0 is going to be 4. Negative 1. Oh boy. That's going to be negative 7. And that's going to be 6. This is going to be negative 8, 7, negative 7. And this is going to be 5 minus 1 is going to be 4. Negative 5, 0. This is going to be 8. And this is going to be 7. And then we do this last one. So 6. That'd be 7 minus 2 is going to be 5. And then 6 minus 3 is 3. Okay, so let's go see if this lines up with part B. So I'll go ahead and share my screen again. And we need to come over here. So 4, negative 1, negative 7, 6, cool. 4, 0, 7, 3, cool. Negative 7, negative 5, 8, 5, cool. So that actually worked. I'm not surprised that the technique worked. I know the technique works. I'm just always surprised when I don't make stupid, simple errors. And I make a lot of stupid, simple errors. Okay, so now let's jump in. Let's do 4C. All right, 4C. And this one, it's going to be 3 by 2 and times a 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, goodness. Times a 2 by 5. So the output is going to be a 3 by 5. That is a bummer. Please know I am not out to get you on these. I just picked this middle one because I find that sometimes the even answers have better explanations in the book. This is not one of those cases. And so this one is understandable if you didn't do this. It's going to take some time. Okay, let's get it knocked out. 0, 7, negative 4. And then negative 1, 2, negative 3. Okay, so there's our first one. And now for this one, 4, -2, -1, 0, 2, 3, 3, 4, 0, 1. Now, if I get this done without making any mistakes, we'll go on to number 5. If I do make mistakes, understand that it was not intentional. That probably while you're watching this video, you'll probably be like, oh yeah, Everett, why didn't you just fix that and not do that? Well, sometimes these things don't work the way I had planned. All right. So this is going to be 0 times this top row plus -1 times this bottom row. So it's going to be 0 plus 0, 0 plus 0 plus, and 0 plus. Because the first number was 0, so we just got lucky. Okay, now this second number is a -1 times this bottom row. So -1 times -2 is going to be +2, 0, -3, -4, and -1. Okay, now we'll do the same thing on this time. It'll be 28 plus, -7 plus, 14 plus, 21 plus, and 0 plus. My brain's feeling funny, so we'll just do this. -4 times -4 is going to be -16 plus, and then this will be 4 plus, and this will be -8 plus, and -12 plus, and 0 plus, because I just did this -4 times this top row of stuff. Okay, now we're going to come back. Now 7 times 2 times this row. So 2 times -2 is going to be -4, 0, 12. Skippy, why did 2 times 3 become 12? No. 2 times 3 did not become 12. 2 times 3 became 6, and you just slipped in another times 2 in there because you probably need a Snickers bar or something. So 8 and 2. All right. Now for this one. All right. -3 times -2. -3 times -2 is going to be +6, 0, -9, -12, and -3. Okay, now let's simply, oh, I apologize. I always do that about right here because I just get so excited. So this is kind of our intermediate step, but this isn't our simplified form. So let's just go ahead and simplify the math. It's going to be 2, 0, -3, -4, -1, 24, -7, 20, 29, 2, -10, 4, -17, -24, and -3. Other than that, not too shabby. Now, let's go ahead and share our screen again. And I think 4 is still the right screen to share. And we've got our even answers. 2, 0, -3, -4, -1. Yay! -10, -10, 4, -17, -24, -3. Cool. 24, -7, 20, 29, 2. You don't have to have a pattern when you're checking these. I just do silly things that make sense to my head. All right, so that is 2.6 problem 4C. Now, moving on to problem number 5. Okay, problem number 5 is silly. Problem number 5 is silly. What do I mean by that? Okay, this is problem number 5. This is one way to do problem number 5. Finding A requires that you solve systems of linear equations. Okay, I don't know how many of you were doing this in high school. I was not. And this is just what makes sense to me. Okay, I know that if I've got a 2 by 2 coming in, and then I'm multiplying that by another something, we'll call it A, and I get a 2 by 2 out. Well, that means this, the 2 defines, that this is going to be a 2 by 2, but that also means that this has to be a 2 by 2. So this has to be a 2, so these two can match, and this has to be a 2, so it gets this definition. Cool, so I know that A is going to be a 2 by 2. All right, so I'm going to have 2, 3, 1, 4. And then I'm going to have something weird. And so I'm going to call my something weird A, B, C, D. Do you have to do it this way? No, you do not. Are there other ways to do this? Yes, absolutely. Do they work? Absolutely. One of you out there, hopefully many of you, are saying, well, in high school, I learned that when you need to solve these linear equations, instead of doing something stupid like guess and check, why don't we do something cool and something efficient like, I don't know, maybe find the inverse and go from there. And so if you multiply um, 2, 3, 1, 4 by its inverse, you get the identity matrix. And if you do the same thing to the other side of the equation and multiply it by the inverse of 2, 3, 1, 4, then basically what you're left with is the identity matrix times A, which the identity matrix is basically 1. And so it's 3, 0, 1, 2 times the inverse of 2, 3, 1, 4. And then Bob's your uncle, right? You don't worry about it. I'm not feeling that fancy today. I'm just going to grind a little bit on this. Okay, so here's my system of equations. I have, and I'm going to use a different colored crayon because I like colors. 2 times A plus, boom, boom, 3C equals 3. So this times this plus this times this equals this. Now I'm going to say A plus 4C is equal to 1. Okay, so 2 equations, 2 answers, probably going to be able to solve for something here. So I'm going to slow down and just see if I can do this right quick. Not going to lie, it's been a while. Minus 4C minus 4C. So I'm going to say A equals 1 minus 4C. Cool. Now I've got up on top, circling back, use a different crayon. I can take this and plug it back into this. So I've got 2 and 1 minus 4C plus 3C equals 3. Let's simplify. It's going to be 2 minus 8C plus 3C equals 3. Brain still hurts. Negative 8C plus 3C equals 1. This is going to be negative 5C equals 1. C equals 1/5. Maybe. Now I can take this and plug it back in up here. And I've got lots of colors. So I'm going to say A equals 1. Oops, we're down here. Sorry. We'll plug this in back up here. So A equals 1 minus 4 times negative 1/5. So A equals 1 minus, actually the plus 4/5 equals 9/5. I apologize. Let me rewrite that. Equals 9/5. Okay, so that does not suck as bad. All right, I'm going to not conserve paper and just keep scrambling on. And I'm going to rewrite this again. So I've got 2, 3, 1, 4. And now I've got A and C. And so I've got negative 1/5. And A is 9/5. And we've got B and we've got D equals 3, 0, 1, 2. All right. Now, let's take on this crayon. We're going to have 2 times 0. No, 2 times B, 2B plus 3D equals 0. Because it's this row times this column gives us this answer. And now it's this row, 1, 4, times this column. So it's going to be B plus 4D is equal to 2. Okay, so I'll say B equals 2 minus 4D. Plug this back into here. I'll be 2 times 2 minus 4D plus 3D equals to 0. Now let's simplify a little bit. This is going to be 8 minus, you know what? I wish I could math. 2 times 2 is 4. For those of you who might have missed that, you got to laugh at yourself, especially if you're just hilarious to watch. Okay, 4 minus 8D plus 3D equals 0. 4 minus 8 plus 3 is going to be minus 5D equals 0. Minus 4 minus 4. Negative 5D equals negative 4. Over negative 5 over negative 5. D equals 4 over 5. And now we can take this, plug it back into this up here. Sorry about that. Okay, so it'll be B 2 minus 4D. And we know that D equals 4/5. So we can say B equals 2 minus 4 times 4/5. Sorry. Been talking too long. Also, markers. So B equals, okay, so this can be thought of as right? And so this will be B equals 2 minus 16 over 5. B equals 10 over 5 minus 16 over 5. B equals negative 6 over 5. Okay, so when those powers combined, you too can save the planet. So it is going to look something now like this. A is going to be equal to, barring significant math mistakes, and then okay. So if that really is A, then to verify this, you should be able to do something like this. You should take 2, 3, 1, 4, and you multiply it by 9/5, negative 1/5, negative 6/5, 4/5, and let's see what we get. Okay, so 2 times 9/5 is going to be 18 over 5 plus 3, so negative 3 over 5. And then let's see if we can squish this in here. So it's going to be negative 12 over 5 plus 3 times 4/5 is going to be 12 over 5. And then 1 times 4 is going to be 9 over 5 minus 4 over 5. And then this last one is going to be negative 6 over 5 plus 4 times 4 is going to be 16 over 5. Okay. Now, let's simplify that and identify any math mistakes that I've made. So 18 minus 3 is going to be 15 over 5. And then 12 minus 12 is going to be 0 over 5. 9 minus 4 is going to be 5 over 5. And then negative 6 plus 16 is going to be 10 over 5. And simplifying one more time, we can now I've got a special collection of these. Okay, 15 over 5 is going to be 3, 0, and then 1, 2. And we go back and we see that in reality, that actually matches what we were expecting. Okay, so this is a correct answer for what A is, and the way that we verified it was we simply multiplied them through. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's do this. All right, so I think that was enough fun with matrices. Now, for what is the question asking? The question is asking you for to plug and chug some math definitions. And that's not really all that crazy, but it's basically saying, here's a definition from the chapter, plug and chug through the arithmetic of it and make it work and show that you can multiply two matrices together and do something and kind of understand what that means. That's the general question. On 4, 5, or on 3, on 4, and on 5. Now, 5, we kind of had to play around with that a little bit, but it's still basically use the definition, see if you can come up with a solution. Now, what definitions do they provide? What references? Well, you can say chapter 2, section 6. And so for the first one, you can say this is a definition of multiplication. And so for 3 and 4, this is the definition of multiplication. And for 5, you can say, again, here's the definition of the multiplication. Here's what we can assume about the size of A for chapter. Okay, so we can use the definitions for 3, 4, and 5. This is multiplication. As far as assumptions go, assume that you can follow the examples and assume that general arithmetic rules still apply and assume that you didn't make any math errors. Number 5, you can assume the values and you can assume the size based of what the input matrix, the first matrix was and the last matrix was. And you can assume a size from that. You can assume variables that they have values, that they're not complex or anything weird like that. And then you can just say, okay, let's work through the algebra and assume that for our individual linear systems of equations, that the same rules still apply. And then finally, how do you know that your answers are correct? Okay, so the way I would answer that on 3 and 4 is to say, we worked through the math, we followed the definitions, and they provide us an answer that matched what we were found in the back of the book. And this makes sense because once you get your head wrapped around the definitions, it's actually just a plug and chug problem. Now, on 5, I took shortcuts. I'm going to admit that I took shortcuts. The way that I would love to see you do this is to actually go in and invert the matrix and then multiply both sides by the inverse of the first matrix. I think that'd be an awesome way to do it. I'm not going to work through that today because I got a little bit behind. But that's what if you want to expand your horizons a little bit, I think that'd be a great way to do it. So with that, I thank you all for your time. I think this is a great place to stick a fork in this assignment and let's just walk away. If you have any questions or anything like that, if you need anything, do let me know. Also, in the feedback or email, chat, message, whatever, tell me if your preference is you'd rather have things on YouTube or you'd rather have things on Dropbox. Let me know what your thoughts are. Looking forward to hearing back from you. I'm kind of partial to YouTube because then I can just share the links in the Google Doc and it just works. Whereas with Dropbox, I have to share the Dropbox link, or I could share links for the individual videos, and then there are permission issues and things like that. Whereas when people go out to YouTube, they expect to find videos. When people go out to Dropbox, they expect to find like PDF files and stuff like that. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. I look forward to working with y'all. I'm proud of you. Really thankful for the folks that have already started to drop their assignments in. I look forward to looking through those and doing another video just to discuss those. Proud of y'all for sticking with it. Hopefully everybody's getting their book lined up, or they've got financial aid figured out for how they could get the book, or they're able to find the PDF in the Dropbox folder. Hopefully everything's going well. We got the exam coming up next week. If anybody has any questions on that, check out my YouTube video. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a great day. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.